He just said we're ready on the
Yeah, we
chat.
just got a chat from him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you tell him to go ahead and let's go live?
He just said starting live now, Mr. Mayor.
Well, there we go. Thank you very much, Council Deputy Mayor Herlock. All right, so appreciate that. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. I believe we are hopefully live at this point. This is a conference meeting of the Council of the Township of Montclair, and it's being broadcast live on Channel 34, and it's streaming live on Montclair TV 34 YouTube channel, and is available on demand and can and will be rebroadcast. With that, I will ask that you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Mayor Spiller,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Herlock,
Present.
Councilor Cummings,
Present.
Councilor Price Abrams,
Present.
Councilor Russo, Councilor Schlager, Councilor Yacobalis.
Present.
Okay. Thank you. I think before we open up to public comment, and slightly out of order here, I would like to do the proclamation that we have for Phil Cantor. Mr. Cummings, would you like to read that for us today, please, if you don't mind?
Mayor, can I pass off to Lori, third ward person, and my voice is a little bad right now? Lori, can you handle that? You're a big member.
Lori, would you?
I would be
you like
delighted.
to?
I don't think I have a copy in front of me, though.
Oh, I do have a copy, I believe.
I will.
It would be an honor.
I do not have a copy.
All right. Well, I do. So how about this, everybody? Guess what? I will read off the proclamation that we have for Phil Cantor. So, Phil, hopefully you're able to join us and listening at home here today. We just want to note this. Whereas Phil Cantor has been a pillar of the Montclair community for over 25 years. As a resident, he served as a member of the Township Economic Development Committee Advisory Board, as well as a member and chair of the Traffic and Parking Advisory Committee. With his photography business in downtown Montclair for over 2 decades, he also served on the Montclair Center Bid Board of Directors as treasurer and was its longest serving president when he stepped down from the post in 2019. And Phil had a tremendous honor of working with you for a great number of years there, so thank you. Whereas Phil Cantor has established himself and has received a reputation for his unwavering commitment to his clients seeing themselves in their best light. With his lens, he has preserved moments in time for countless community members, from each year's graduating class, Montclair Kimberly Academy, to local leaders such as former Mayor Robert Jackson and former director of the Montclair Art Museum, Laura Ubinelli. He also has memorialized former Township Council members together with their collective portrait proudly displayed in council chambers. And whereas wanting to capture the essence of Montclair in his work, aside from his beautiful streetscapes, Phil Cantor also presented an exhibition titled Line of Work, containing 40 portraits of working men and women from the area around his former studio in Lackawanna Plaza. A nod to his favorite photographer, Irving Penn. This exhibit showcased his connection to the community and highlighted the often unsung heroes that are the lifeblood of Montclair. And whereas Phil Cantor's influence was evident as he worked with the Montclair Center Bids executive directors to support programming and to help revitalize the business district, involved in all aspects from planning to execution to directly incorporating his business into the festivities, he participated in events including Center Stage Music Series, Scavenger Hunts for Children, Oktoberfest, Fort of Montclair, Ladies Night Out, Summer Sidewalk Stroll, Free First Thursdays events at the Montclair Art Museum. And whereas embracing his role not only as a photographer but as a teacher, Phil Cantor has conducted professional workshops and also invited students in from Montclair State University's photography major to his studio to learn about art, the art of photography, and how to hone their skills. And whereas Phil Cantor has been a mainstay in downtown Montclair, and his presence has been felt by scores of community members, while his relocation from Lackawanna Plaza marks the end of an era, his influence will continue for years to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Township of Montclair do hereby thank Phil Cantor for his years of service and unwavering dedication to the Montclair community. Phil, we thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you all. Appreciate that. And now I will open it up to public comment. In an effort to minimize exposure to COVID-19 and to maintain social distancing practices, this August 4th Town Council meeting and further meetings until the pandemic is over will only be available to the public remotely. Those who wish to participate now during the public comment, as well as later in the meeting during the public hearings for ordinances on second reading, should dial in to 408-418-9388, 408-418-9388. When asked to enter an access code, please enter 129-226-1380, 129-226-1380, and then press pound. When asked to enter an attendee number, then pound, please simply press pound. When asked to state your name, you state your name and then press pound. The administrator will say when it is the caller's turn to speak, and the caller will hear 2 beeps. At that time, the caller will have an opportunity to make his or her comments. And now, Mr. Stafford, through you, I will, and Mr. Fan, I will open up public comment.
Thank you, Mayor. Caller with the number beginning in 973-419. It is your turn to comment. 973-419. Please state your name and keep your comments under 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. This is Franco Porporino. I'm the owner of Fresco de Franco at 15 Church Street. I also want to congratulate Phil Cantor and Mayor. This is the first time I believe that we're actually speaking through telephone, so I want to congratulate you as well on your position with Montclair. I wanted to call in. I know that there's been some challenges on Church Street that have been an ongoing issue with, I believe, the street closures in reference to the pop-up plaza that just came into fruition, I believe, about 3 weeks ago. And I believe that after the first week, we took 1 week off, and then last week we just obviously resumed on Saturday. Some of the concerns that I'm going to just speak for myself are perfect example on what happened today, obviously, Mother Nature and obviously just having outdoor dining. My concern right now with, I would just say, the hospitality business and more or less the restaurants on Church Street is I'm just hoping and hearing some of the discrepancies that happened over the weekend that this is something that you guys will continue doing. I'm hopeful up into the fall months since we're getting really battered here without opening up indoor dining. I know there was some statistics that just came out, which I'm also part of the New Jersey Restaurant Association. They're predicting that 35% of all restaurants will be out of business by the end of August, and they're predicting that by the end of 2020, it's going to be 50%. So the outlook out there does not look very, very good for restaurants. And I know that, unfortunately, due to some, we'll just say some unethical behavior down the Jersey Shore with people having house parties and the transmission rate going up above 1.5, it doesn't seem like Governor Murphy's going to open up anytime soon for indoor dining. So I just wanted to hear thoughts that I know after speaking to Jason on Saturday night, there was some merchants on Church Street that really were not for it. And to me, I believe it was maybe 3 or 4 of them. But one of the biggest concerns to me is that, some of the merchants that were not for the Church Street closure, I found it real troubling and puzzling to me, which they close at 6 p.m. So Church Street really comes to life at night. So my concern is this something that you guys are looking to continue to do, number one, and more or less, I'm not really sure if Jason is on the call, but I think that Jason is doing an unbelievable job on trying to get business, obviously, the best help that it possibly can. So, and I know obviously, there's other issues going on, such like everyone's also, always saying that, why is it always Church Street? Why is it always Church Street, not Glenridge Ave, not Park Ave? So I'm just curious, as a restaurant owner that's been on Church Street for 7 years, and I feel that I've done my part as contributing and helping evolve that street. Is this something that you guys are looking to stop?
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Stafford. So thank you very much for the call. Appreciate the kind words as well. To answer your questions, we are in conversations with all of the business district leaders, the duly elected business district leaders, every week. And your question actually gets right to the heart of the challenge. I think the township, of course, tried to take broad brushes to help as many businesses as possible. As you note, the supports that we put in place, $150,000 in direct aid to our small businesses. That's a huge piece that we were able to put forward, unique to Montclair. Also, additionally, when we've been able to, offer parking, relaxations in terms of pickup drop off, which we hope is a big help. We've also launching later this week an ad campaign to really promote our small businesses and shop local here in Montclair. We're really proud of that work as well. We continue, as you know, to pick up the cost for that Church Street closing from now all the way through the end of September. But that said, I can tell you our calls with Mr. Gleason and others, this week's calls were all centered around the fact that there are a number of businesses who don't want Church Street to be closed during these hours, right? So the challenge of it is, Jason and others were coming to us saying, look, here's the issue. We made further accommodations saying if the concern there is being able to do pickup drop-off service. We even we're working to convert a loading zone in the very nearby, right at the end of the street, to a pickup drop-off that they could put as a push pin to have, some of the services come to pick up the food. Trying to make accommodations. And at the end of the day, what we say and continue to say, and I'd say to you is, look, we're here to try and assist in any way possible. And, we understand that it's challenging. I think the sometimes frustrating piece, and that's why we took the position of just getting money directly into the hands of our restaurants and other supports of that nature, waiving permit fees, because we knew that would help broadly and would not be an area of contention. Right now, with the closing of the street, I can tell you, between 1 week's call and the next week's call, it's restaurants that are there on Church Street and other merchants saying, do not close Church Street. And then, another X number saying close Church Street. And I know Jason is trying to deal with that. We are working with him and we say, look, we continue to follow your guidance on this. But these are the challenges that you step into when you start taking these actions. So know that we remain committed to offering supports in any way possible. We understand the difficult situation. We also applaud Jason for constantly communicating with the businesses on the street. And I guess he's basically polling and seeing if more are against it than are for it, and trying to come to us with a request. But I can tell you, even up to recently, the request was potentially not to close the street. But I think we're looking at it more broadly to say it's got to be somewhat consistent, and hopefully, get some buy-in and consensus around that. So a little bit of a longer answer because it's a little bit of a complicated answer in terms of some businesses for it, some businesses against it. But we remain committed to supporting in any way we can, and certainly the programs we've initiated and the closings as directed and guided by the advice we get from the bid. And Mr. Stafford, I see you leaning forward, so I assume it looks like you're itching to make a comment as well. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just looking to the next caller, Mayor. Are you ready?
Okay. Fair enough. Yes, please.
Caller with the number 201-655. 201-655. It is your turn to comment. Please state your name and your best to keep your comments under 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. Good evening, Mayor. So my name is Brianna Van Rye, and I also own a small business on Church Street. I reached out to you last month raising my concerns about the street closure that is part of the Pop Goes the Plaza event. And, as you were just speaking and Mayor, you were addressing, I do want to thank you and the bid for taking time to consider my concerns. I'm one of the businesses that are on the street that are being adversely impacted by the street being closed. And unfortunately, the all-day street closure on Saturday, I had the same experience. And while I appreciate the bid and the town offering that 5-minute parking on South Fullerton to help our curbside pickup customers, the change in business operations raised some liability concerns, which we did share with Jason and the bid prior to the event, which I'm sure he's brought up with you and is trying to work out and answer for us. And listen, me and my business partners, we want to see all the businesses in Montclair succeed, as I know all of you do as well. And this is a very challenging situation, and we understand that. But, I do understand that the event is planned for another 8 weekends, and, I have to be here to advocate for my business. And I'm concerned that the planned street closure part of the event is only going to continue to damage my business. So I just wanted to call in and, raise my concerns again. And thank you all for considering them the first time.
Thank you for that. And I would echo exactly what you just heard me say before, which I appreciate you acknowledging. And certainly we're trying to navigate through all those pieces. And I think for all of residents and others listening at home, you're hearing firsthand the challenge of this. Some looking for it, some not. And we continue to try and balance all of it. Thank you, Mr. Stafford.
Caller with the number beginning in 973-464. It is your turn to comment. 973-464. Please state your name and do your best to keep your comments under 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pam Lamoglia. I own American Sampler and Dobbs on the street. I think I'm the senior person on the street since I've been there 40 years. I've seen the ideas come and go to better the street. Some have worked, some have not. Some are not equal to others in that it helps some and hurts others. It's hurt me definitely. Saturday is our busiest retail day. And so a lot of people, although there are limited parking, a lot of people do like to park on the street, will tell me they'll even circle a few times to come to my stores, okay? I know they do that to come to other stores too. They're not crazy about the parking lot in the back. However, we have tried to promote it time and time again. The high rents on Church Street were something that I think a lot of us in a way overlooked because we wanted to be on Church Street because it's such a special street. I know 40 years ago when I came on the street, those were my thoughts. Times obviously have changed. Ways of buying obviously have changed. But the people who do want to shop want the convenience of coming on the street. The blocking of the street also will stop people from other towns that are not knowledgeable about how to get into Church Street or that Church Street even exists, that they won't be able to come on Church Street. We won't get new people on a Saturday, which is when we get most of our new people because it's their day off. The customers need to have the right to park, and we have the right. You want to have people stroll, and that's fine. Our sidewalks are huge, and people have always strolled the street. This last Saturday, I did notice with the street closed, there was no more action of strolling than at any other time. If one person, just one person, is badly impacted by this decision, I think it's a bad idea. I think what we need to do is to say, let's leave the street open. If you want to close it at 6 without all the hubbub, but just close it to parking at 6 for the restaurants, that would be fine. But an all-day closing desperately hurt me. And finally, what I want to say is, what is the purpose of the closing? To make people come on the street and stroll? Because what I've seen, the people who do come and stroll are the regulars. They'll come and stroll with or without the street being closed. So I don't see the difference to close it to parking. Parking is desperate in Montclair, and even 9, 10, 11 spaces are desperately needed. Why close them to the public? Thank you for listening. Hope this can all be resolved to everyone's liking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Caller with the number beginning 929-389. That is 929-389. It is your turn to speak. Please state your name and keep your comments if you're able to under 3 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, good evening. My name is Roger Mazzio. I'm one of the co-owners of Benvenuti, the new gelato cafe and panini shop at 20 Church Street. Good evening, everyone. I would like to say congratulations to Phil. Welcome, Mayor. And I'd also like to say, Jason, I think you're doing a great job in helping us out down here. Let me just give you a quick background. I have a business also on South Park Street. I have a Pilates studio, which I've had for the last 3 years, almost 4 years since we moved to the States. And now we opened up Benvenuti in the last month. Let me start off by piggybacking on what Franco said as far as the movement. I got to tell you, we were open. This is like the third weekend. We had 2 weekends before that we were open, and then we had that Saturday, which it was blocked off. And I got to tell you, there was considerable traffic, extra traffic. I would say probably our sales would be 60% above the previous 2 weeks beforehand. So for us, it was a huge positive. So I'd like to voice my opinion as far as encouraging for this to happen. What's great about this side is that we're working together. I see Franco, his people will come over, his customers will come over afterwards, and we speak about that relationship. We speak about the relationship with the diner next to us and the Raymonds and building the community up. And I got to tell you, it's so great to have people hanging out just like we were in Italy in the evening and having a cafe and having a gelato and having all the movement that's happening. And it really creates an opportunity for people to come together. So from the way I see it, it's been nothing but a positive thing. When you have the events on the streets, I've enjoyed seeing that happen, and I would like to support and give my backing to that. Thank you for your time, and I understand that it might not be right for everyone, but for sure, it makes it a place to be and makes it a place to come out. And if we can continue to do the Saturdays like that, I am completely in favor of it. Thank you very much, and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Caller with the number starting 917-319. 917-319. It is your turn to speak. Please state your name and do your best to keep your comments under 3 minutes.
Also co-owner of Benvenuti, the new shop in Montclair on Church Street. I just would like to make a couple brief points. First off, I certainly appreciate that certain people, certain businesses might not benefit from the street closure, but just to reference the point made a couple calls ago about if the closure hurts anyone, it should not be made. The closure should not be done. Well, I think that's a very valid point, but how about for those of us who suffer when the street is not closed? So Roger mentioned we had about a 60% uptick in our sales. And even if the township were to close the street to pedestrians for the rest of the summer, let's just say for the rest of August or September, someone mentioned 8 weeks, that would be 8 out of 52 weeks of the year. So for those who support keeping the street open, you're getting 44 weeks of the year with the street open to traffic. Now, I have lived in Montclair for 13 years. So as a pedestrian, as a resident, as a business owner, I strongly support closing the street. And actually, I spent quite a bit of time there this past weekend, and many people just came up to me randomly and said, how great is this? How come they don't always close the street? And I would suggest it's, a lot of it has to do with business and making money, but it's also, given what's going on in the world right now, it's for the community. There are so few options for us to get out and enjoy ourselves in this time of COVID. And closing off the street gives us that opportunity to do so in a safe manner. And so for that reason, I strongly support it. And, another comment. So I also like to drive on Church Street and find parking there, but I could probably count on my hand, on a single hand, the number of times I've been able to drive on Church Street and find parking over the last 13 years. It rarely ever happens. And if I do find parking, it's in an illegal spot where I'm there for 5 minutes. And I would suggest that if any owners, shop owners, believe that there are enough spaces on Church Street, even circling, to grow your business, I think that just doesn't make sense mathematically. There are too few spaces available to do that. It's a very small street. This street actually, as many of you know, many, many years ago used to be a cobblestone street, and I believe it was closed off. And I just think that, it's one thing if we were going to do this permanently, but this is 1 year under very, very unique circumstances where we are asking for 8 weeks. 1 year, 8 weeks. We are not asking for the world here. This is a very small compromise. And actually what I believe would happen to a business like ours and other restaurant businesses, we will be decimated if this does not happen. And that's what we experienced before this street closure. And, for those who say if it hurts anyone, we shouldn't do it, please also think of those of us who are suffering on the other end of this. And you have had the benefit of open streets for literally, for the last, at least 15 years, at least, since I've been here. And we are asking for a very small compromise by keeping the streets closed for 8 weeks or the rest of the summer. And also, I would add this lastly, it's not even the entire weekend. I believe it starts at 3 p.m. I was quite surprised, the other weekend when, at noon, the street still wasn't closed. So I thank you very much for your time. This is a very, very critical issue for us, for restaurants, and I'm sure for other businesses on the street. And, I really hope the township can make this small accommodation. And I'm also a Montclair resident, have been here for 13 years and would love just to have everyone be able to walk around and be social, for the rest of this summer, which will hopefully be our last summer under COVID. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Caller with the number starting 973-820. 973-820. It is your turn to speak. Please state your name and keep your comments under 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, this is Tony Martin from the Montclair. I'm from several organizations now. I'm from the Tenants Organization of Montclair and from our new umbrella coalition, Montclair Citizens for Rent Control. If you'd like to see some of our thoughts and background, we're at montclairrentcontrol.org. Couple things. One, I really appreciate the high level of the discussion about Church Street. I live near Church Street. I love Church Street. I love retail. I love restaurants. So I really do hope you work it out. But on our particular residence issues, I would like to ask once again what the status is of the lawsuit that has been brought against the town by the Montclair Property Owners Association.
Mr. Karasik, could you please provide an update there? Thank you.
Well, we had a status conference when I had last meeting. I think I mentioned to you there's a status conference coming up. We had the conference. The judge finally claims he's going to rule on the papers that we filed. There were some supplemental papers filed by the landlords who keep looking for the township to assist them in trying to derail the ordinance. They want us to assist them by putting their petition on our website, which, as you can imagine, we are not doing. And the judge, I think, I'm just trying to get the exact date. It's about, I think it's the 24th something. The judge is going to have a hearing and then rule on the status of when the ordinance is to go into effect. We have not received any petitions. There have been some claims, but at least some rumors that petitions were submitted. As far as I know, the last I checked with the clerk, nothing's been submitted at this point. So in the meantime, as you know, tonight we're finalizing the ordinance to continue the rent freeze, which is rent increase freeze essentially, so that it kind of, it doesn't moot the rent control ordinance, but at least it again takes the pressure off a little bit. So when the judge rules, if he does not rule in our favor, we'll be writing the appellate petition. I can tell you that. But that's all I have to say. I see the clerk. We didn't receive any petitions yet, did we, George? Nothing, right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the update.
Caller with the number starting 973-619. 973-619. It is your turn to comment. Please state your name and keep your comments under 33 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Ahava. I'm calling in on behalf of the Tenants Organization of Montclair. You're able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you fine.
Perfect. So, although I sent you all email, I'd like to still say, so you can hear my voice, congratulations for those of you who are taking new council seats and those of you who are retained your council seats. I got a few responses in email, so thank you for that. I'm excited to know that everyone participating is in support of our rent control ordinance, and very happy to hear the update with regards to where the ordinance is and the lawsuit. We're all anticipating this implementation of our much needed rent control for Montclair, New Jersey. I would like to thank you all for your diligence, and we too, our alliances, our new umbrella that Tony mentioned as our first VP and also the head of the Montclair Citizens for Rent Control, and the website that you heard, montclairrentcontrol.org. We will continue to reach out to our members, supporters, the community, opposition with regards to educating and creating awareness on why this rent control ordinance and the rent control movement is so important and has always been a paramount concern for Montclair and all of our residents here. We do have a lot more homeowners who have also signed on with us. So in the coming days and weeks and months, more of our residents will be seeing them, interacting with them, and receiving mail from all of us in support of stabilizing our community. I would also like to say, as a native born and raised here in Montclair and a business owner, I also love retail, love the restaurants, and the many other businesses here that make Montclair so attractive to everyone. And I would like to see and fully agree with the closure of Church Street. What I saw there, in full support of the closure. What I saw when I went out to Church Street and experienced with our community gatherings was very heartfelt. It's like it's the Montclair that many of us know it's growing back to be, even in the throes of this pandemic. So much heartfelt warmth and the socializing, people coming together. It was a really nice feel. So I also am in full support of the closure of Church Street for the 8 weeks or whatever is considered the rest of the summer, with some knowledge that that's part of the intention for why that area was created in the way that it was. So again, that's just to wrap up on that part. I do want to also still thank you for everything that you all are doing and look forward to our rent control ordinance being fully implemented.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, caller with the number starting 973-902. 973-902. It is your turn to comment. Please state your name and try to keep your comments under 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Petya Morozov. I'm a resident of Montclair, born and raised here. It's wonderful to have some sunny skies above us. I hope everyone fared well through the hurricane. I am calling as the founder of Design Shed. We are partners in the project on Church Street called Pop Goes the Plaza. We're delighted to have this partnership with Jason and the rest of his board and all of the businesses on Church Street and Park Street. It's a project that really was actually born many months ago when Jason and I, and also the executive director of Montclair State's Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, when we hosted several Montclair Mondays, hosting conversations with our businesses who were so hard hit during COVID and still hit. And so this was not an idea that was just sort of catapulted from thin air. It really was born out of concerns about how we could support our businesses. And it also aligns with how do we support our businesses while also devoting more of our underused spaces to public space. Public space is really, during COVID, is one of the most important public health features that we can provide to our community. As you might see yourself walking down any sidewalk where there might be businesses that are trying to extend onto the sidewalk, whatever sidewalk real estate that they do have, there will be pedestrians who may not feel very comfortable walking through that sidewalk space. So oftentimes you will see them walking into the street, which is utterly unsafe from any public safety perspective. So public space is not just so that we can gather socially, which is obviously something that we all want to be able to do under very safe conditions. It's also a way for us to do it safely and to provide public space in a way that we don't really have in downtown Montclair. We don't have, pocket parks that are close to the downtown other than Crane Park. So looking at Church Street as not just an opportunity for businesses to be able to manage their way through this very difficult time is part of the intention. But the other part is also to really provide this much needed public space during this time. So, I will echo some of the things that have already been said by some of the business owners, but we as an organization have also been surveying people who are visiting who are not necessarily customers or owners of businesses. They are coming because this is, they feel very warm, very welcome to Montclair. And so I just want to be able to say that because this is an ongoing demonstration project, that it's utterly important, and Jason and I both feel the same about this, is that we will continue to survey our community. We will find ways to improve. We already made some tweaks to the original design from the first installation to this past weekend. We are listening. We are we understand that these things do take time to evolve and to improve. And so we do ask our community to be able to come with their productive insights and to be able to give us their feedback by way of a survey that they can participate in, and it's easy to go to. It's a bit.ly site, bit.ly/pop-goes-the-plaza, all one word. So please, I invite the community to provide their feedback so that we can continue to evolve and improve this much needed project. Thank you. Appreciate everyone's support here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Caller with the number beginning 973747. 973747. It is your turn to comment. Please state your name and try to keep your comment under 3 minutes.
Hello, this is William Scott, Chair of the NAACP Housing Committee. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Mr. Scott.
Okay, I just want to take this opportunity to also thank the mayor and the council members for extending the moratorium on the rent increases throughout the end of the year. I think this is extremely important that we continue that moratorium based on obviously the current situation, not only in Montclair, but on a national basis as it relates to renters throughout the country in Montclair. I also would just like to continue to make you folks aware that being the organization that, along with the tenants organization and members of the clergy, that did initially request this moratorium, as again, we appreciate you extending it to the end of the year. And also appreciate the update that the Township Attorney just gave us on the status of the rent control ordinance. I think it's been a long time. I know the judge is seeming to do a lot of deliberating on this process, but hopefully at the August 24th hearing, I believe the Township Attorney mentioned that there should be some finalization on how this litigation will close out. On a residence request, I just would like to know, Mr. Stafford, what is going to be the cleanup process after this storm? There's quite a bit of debris in the streets and on residents' property. Is there a consideration to give a brief moratorium on leaf blowers so residents will have the opportunity to clean their property for a week or so?
I appreciate the question, Mr. Scott. The issue is under consideration. I have had at least one discussion already, and we'll be speaking with the OEM coordinator who statutorily has the authority to extend given an emergency. And I don't think that there are too many people who would not see what this township, our state, and our region suffered today as an emergency.
Thank you very much.
Certainly. Have a nice evening, Mr. Scott.
Thank you.
Next, caller with the number starting 973449. 973449. It is your turn to comment. Please state your name and do your best to keep your comment under 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Joanne Small, and I am a resident here in Montclair. I am in favor for many, many years in having Church Street closed. I am a former employee. I used to work for the Montclair Center Bid. And for many, many years, I created the events here in Montclair. I think that the businesses want good communication so that they are ready and know what's coming. I think that putting in place and continually putting something in place that they are aware that events will happen during, spring and summer. Having the streets closed, Church Street, South Park Street, I'm in definite favor. I was able to do close those streets for many years and many times, and trying to see what the existing problem is now is that restaurants need, sorry about that, restaurants need seating, and they need clientele, they need the business, and they need to spread out. Also, signage, I think that lots of signage needs to be put in that area where people can actually know where to park, where people know what stores are available and open, vendors, you know, putting vendors throughout South Park Street. I think it's great. You know, I want to applaud Jason for a great job that he's doing. And I think that closing Church Street and South Park Street every year for X amount of time and great communication with the business owners there and allowing them to expand and have more seating for their customers, it's needed. And again, my name is Joanne Smalls, and I am definitely in favor of the Church Street and South Park Street being closed. I also want to remind the council, and I want to thank all the new council members, that South Park Street was designed and created as a destination for that street to be closed. So that's something that I think that communicating that more to the businesses that are in that area and new businesses that are opening up in that area, that's something that I would love to see every year. Okay, so that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, there are no more callers in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. With that, I would like to move on to the agenda. The next piece is before approval of minutes. I'd like to, while we appreciated and all I read the proclamation to Phil Cantor. I'd like to officially move that for the record. So would somebody please so move?
So moved.
Please unmute. Great, it's been moved. And is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, the approval of the minutes. You guys will note that the minutes are from the June 9th, 2020 meeting. So therefore, I will ask the clerk to certify the minutes, and this body will not have to vote on it, as this they are not the minutes of this council. So I believe that is the proper protocol for that as well. So for the minutes, they will be certified by the clerk. So thank you very much for that. Madam Clerk, would you please read the pending ordinance for? Actually, I think I'll read the second ordinance here. Second reading, ordinance ordinance 0-20-19, which is a bond ordinance of the Township of Montclair in the County of Essex, New Jersey, providing for various school capital improvements and authorizing the issuance of $4,834,850 in bonds or notes of the township to finance the cost thereof. For this, is there anyone, being the second reading, is there anyone present who wishes to be heard in relation to the proposed ordinance? Mr. Stafford, can you please check if there's anyone who wishes to be heard in relation to the proposed ordinance?
I'm looking, Mayor, and there are no callers in the queue.
Thank you very much. Therefore, I will consider the hearing closed. Any council comments on the proposed ordinance? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Before we close it, I wish to report that the ordinance has been published and posted, and copies have been made available to the public as required by law. Okay, now I'll, Councilor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Councilor Russo? Councilor Schlager? Councilor Yacobelis?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next, B, we have an ordinance 0-20-20. This is an ordinance amending 0-20-08 to extend the temporary moratorium of rent increases due to COVID-19 pandemic. At this point, is there anyone present who wishes to be heard in relation to the proposed ordinance? And Mr. Stafford, I again, as I open the hearing, ask you if there's anyone who's called in wishing to be heard on this ordinance.
Similarly, Mayor, I'm looking and there is no one in the queue to make a comment.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, I will close the hearing. Any council comments on this second reading of this ordinance? With that, I will say, and it has been noted, I am pleased and I thank my council colleagues for all of us moving on this issue. Again, we know the situation, the dynamic, and certainly as we've heard from some of our I will note, I think it's unfortunate that we have some in town, some of our landlords who want to have no rent cost increase controls. Unfortunately, hopefully we are successful in that and also successful if it does go to the ballot. That said, we are trying to do all we can during these troubling times to help protect with a little housing stability for residents here in town. So I commend my colleagues for continuing to take action in this regard. And with that, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll on this ordinance?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams,
Yes, glad to support it.
Councilor Russo, Councilor Schlager, Councilor Yacobalis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. Thank you. Next, we have new business resolutions. First is Resolution R-20-130. This is a resolution declaring an emergency and directing that Ordinance O-20-20 take effect immediately. I think it speaks for itself, and I so move. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. I don't think I have anything further to speak to on the motion. Any comments on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Excuse me, Mayor, this
Do we need
needs
a
a roll call.
Do we need the number? Okay, let's do a roll call on it then, Madam Clerk.
Councilor Cummings,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Councilor Yacobalis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. Next is Resolution R-21-31, resolution authorizing inclusion of the Essex in Essex County Urban County Community Development Program for program years 2021 through 2023, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any council comments on this resolution? Mr. Karasik, does this deal with money in any sense? Do we have to do a roll call or no?
Let's see. I know you can resolution including, you can do, you don't need to do a roll call on this one.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. All those in.
The last one needed a roll call because it required 5 affirmative votes, as specific statutory requirement.
Thank you very much. For R-21-31, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Next is Resolution R-21-32, resolution ratifying the award of professional services contract to Aveanna Healthcare, and I so move.
Second.
Thank you very much. Mr. Stafford, would you like to speak to this for just a moment, please?
Of course. As we know, given the spread of the highly contagious virus that causes COVID-19, Governor Phil Murphy issued executive orders commencing in March of 2020, mandating, among other things, shelter in place, social distancing, and the closure of non-essential businesses. When the rate of infection slowed, our governor lifted certain restrictions and continues to do so as circumstances allow. This, of course, included under specific regulations the permitting of summer youth camps and the opening of pools. Resultantly, the township was faced with being in the instant position of commencing such programming for residents at municipal facilities and reopening buildings and facilities to employees who had otherwise been working at home, yet taking all required and appropriate measures to limit the spread of COVID-19. To comply with law, regulation, and guidance, township administrative and Office of Emergency Management officials, having consulted with other similarly situated governments, met with representatives of healthcare staffing agency Aveanna, with an eye toward it assigning per diem licensed healthcare workers at a reasonable hourly rate and on short notice to provide temperature scans and/or COVID-19 symptoms screenings to program participants and municipal employees in various locations. Given the emergent and immediate need as the result of due diligence and to ensure the safety and health of program participants and employees, a provider staffing agreement was signed. Currently, staffing is provided at our municipal building weekdays from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. and at the municipal pools and at the summer youth camps from 8:30 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. Though, like so many other necessaries required for safe and effective operation of our municipal government given the COVID-19 related pandemic, funds for this professional services contract were not budgeted for in the township's 2020 operating budget. Based upon the aforementioned emergency circumstances and conditions, any funds expended in connection with this agreement shall be submitted for reimbursement as eligible expenses under FEMA and/or under the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, otherwise known as the CARES Act. Request is made, and this resolution would authorize the award of this agreement and ratify my executing of the agreement given the emergent circumstances.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. Any council comments or questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Councilor Cummings,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Councilor Yacobelis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. Next is the bill list, and we're missing our council colleague who normally does this, but I will also give it my shot at this one too. So, whereas invoices against the Township of Montclair in favor of the following persons for the amounts set opposite their respective names have been received, duly audited, and found correct. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Township of Montclair in the County of Essex that the said invoices be and are hereby ordered paid, and that checks be drawn by the Finance Department to the order of such persons for the amounts, respectively, and hereinafter stated on computer printout attached hereto and made a part hereof. This is the bill list dated August 4th, 2020. And I will note there was a couple questions on one of the items, so we are going to pull that out until we can have that and all of our council colleagues on to have the questions answered. So purchase order number 1906715 in connection with the YMCA will be omitted from the vote, and correspondingly, the adjusted total is $6,417,577.12, and I so move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments on the bill list? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilor Cummings,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Councilor Yacobelis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. Mr. Stafford, can you please bring forward the two discussion items for the next agenda meeting, please? Thank you.
Certainly, Mayor. Item number one, since 2016, our township has held electronic tax sales for the sale of delinquent property taxes and municipal charges. The township would like to hold its 2020 tax sale in late October, again, electronically, given that doing so is efficient, provides a greater pool of potential lien buyers, and creates an environment for a more complete tax sale process. There is a statutory requirement that the governing body authorize an electronic tax sale, and item number one is a resolution that would accomplish same. Item number two, the applicant listed thereon for a development project listed on that Schedule A was required to deposit funds in escrow. That application was withdrawn. All relevant fees and expenses against this account have been satisfied, and there appears to be no further basis to retain the escrow deposit listed thereon. This resolution would authorize its release and would direct our Chief Financial Officer to issue a check for same to the applicable developer. And that's all I have at this time, Mayor, although we do have 2 executive session items.
Mayor, could I just wanted to correct something I said earlier. This is Ira Karasik, everyone can hear. The hearing on the rent control ordinance is August 28th, not August 24th. I just the date. So I wanted to make sure that the wrong information didn't get out. The right did. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you got it. August 20. What was the date you said? August what? Just sorry.
August 28th.
Thank you. August 28th. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Karasik. Appreciate that correction for the record. Before we go into executive session, only in that I'm not sure how long it will take and if we will take action coming out, I will at this time actually ask if there are any comments, and I'll just go around the horn. Mr. Karasik, do you have any additional comments?
No, I don't, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Got it. Mr. Scantlebury, anything? Okay. Madam Clerk, do you have anything?
Nothing at this time.
Excellent. Mr. Stafford?
I do. I'll be as brief as possible. I'm sad to have to relay that as of yesterday afternoon, the official reports are that the confirmed number of COVID-19 cases in our township is 463, and that number includes 51 individuals who did not survive the illness. Township department heads and our Office of Emergency Management began preparations for today's tropical storm last Friday. All primary and auxiliary equipment and vehicles were checked. Sufficient supplies were stocked. Township structures and all storm grates were checked. Recreation programs were canceled in advance, and all essential staff and work groups were put on alert to provide support as necessary. Township representatives participated in regional OEM conference calls and statewide PSE&G conference calls, and storm-related notifications were, of course, sent to township residents using all available communications channels. As I speak, township personnel are hard at work on cleanup. We continue our aggressive campaign to remind the public that Governor Murphy's Executive Order number 163 requires, except in very limited circumstances, face coverings to be worn in public spaces when social distancing is not possible. The township has posted signs, sent out townwide emails and message blasts, posted on its website, and posted on social media. Please do your best to safeguard others and comply with the law by wearing a face covering. Restaurants in town may apply to have an expanded sidewalk cafe or to expand an existing sidewalk cafe to the full sidewalk as long as an appropriate pedestrian pathway is provided in the parking lane in the adjacent street. Interested restaurants can view the planning and community development page of our township website. Located there is the expanded sidewalk cafe license application that includes information and the requirements for the pedestrian pathway. Property owners are reminded that third quarter property tax payments were due August 1. There is a 10-day grace period from the August 1st deadline. Interestingly, the tax collector's office often receives checks that are made out incorrectly. That is, a check may be missing a date or a signature, the written amount may not match the number amount, or a check may have other issues. A check received with such an error will almost certainly have to be returned, possibly resulting in a delinquent payment. So please take great care when writing a check to be submitted. The tax office encourages property owners to pay their tax bills online with an e-check. The township's reimbursement of e-check charges continues until further notice, and the finance department is working to eliminate e-check fees altogether. To pay your tax, sewer, or water bill online by e-check or credit card, please visit our township website and select Pay Taxes, Water, or Sewer Bill from the top online services menu. The Montclair Municipal Building remains closed to the public given the pandemic until further notice. While that is the case, in-person bill payments cannot be accepted. Check payments may be dropped off into the payments slot located outside on the front of the municipal building next to the United States Postal Service mailbox. All checks must be in an envelope clearly noting to which department they should be routed or for what services are being paid. So in other words, tax payment or clerk's office permit applications, building department, water bill, sewer bill, etc. And until further notice, given the pandemic and its conditions, cash payments will not be accepted. Now, to that point, it's incumbent upon me to discuss that township revenues negatively impacted by COVID-19 to continue to be a significant concern. The purpose of municipal government, of course, is not to make a profit, rather is to provide services. And in Montclair, we provide superior services. The serious lack of revenue, though, is and will continue to throughout the duration of the pandemic to have a serious and unfavorable effect on the township's ability to provide those services that it normally does. For instance, parking revenue is down 54% from this point last year. In 2019, by July, the township had collected $3.362 million. To date this year, we've collected $1.538 million, and $1.1 million of that was collected in the first quarter prior to the onset of the pandemic. The building department revenue is down as well, 65% from this point last year. In 2019, by July, the township had collected $1.027 million, and to date this year, we've collected $356,000. Similarly, the recreation department revenue is down 76% from this point last year. In 2019, by July, the township had collected $407,000. To date this year, we have collected $97,000. And other collections are down significantly as well, including interest on bank balances, municipal court revenue, and hotel tax revenue. Incredibly, hotel tax revenue, as one might imagine, is down 93% from this point last year. I bring this up solely to illustrate the point that since municipal revenue has been so dramatically impacted in the negative by COVID-19, it is only because the township is so well positioned financially, given the very hard work and keen financial analysis and action taken over the last 8 years, that the township is able to continue to provide the services that it does. Again, we are not about making a profit. The primary purpose of municipal government is to provide services. The incredible pandemic-caused decline in revenue, though, will continue to put a great strain on our ability to do so, which is, of course, why we continue and will continue to be so stringent with our finances. Residents are reminded that Essex County offers drive-through nasal swab testing at Weequahic Park every Monday from 2 to 5 p.m. and Wednesday and Friday from 9 a.m. to noon. Please note that these are new hours for the Monday testing. Tests are administered free of charge to Essex County residents. No insurance is required. County residents with or without symptoms are encouraged to get tested. Appointments are required, and one can make an appointment by visiting www.essexcovid.org or by calling 973-324-9950. We ask everyone to complete their 2020 census form and to encourage others to do so as well. As of August 2nd, the national self-response rate was 62.9%. The New Jersey self-response rate was 64.9%. Essex County's self-response rate was 57.5%, and our township came in at 69.4%. Each year, billions of dollars in federal funding go to hospitals, fire departments, schools, roads, and other programming and resources based upon this census data. So it's incredibly important for our township that we all be counted. All are urged to take 10 minutes out of their day to complete the 2020 census. One may respond by phone, by mail, or online. And for more information or to complete your census form, visit 2020census.gov. For COVID-19 updates from the state, please visit its information hub at covid19.nj.gov. I'd like to point specifically within the state's information hub to its jobs and hiring portal. That's found at jobs.covid19.nj.gov. And as of this afternoon, 55,244 jobs with 1,083 different companies were posted. One seeking employment can search for jobs by industry, location, and other filters. General questions about COVID-19 may be posed by calling the state's Comprehensive Information and Referral Service by dialing 211. Medical questions about COVID-19 may be posed by calling the state's information line at 800-962-1253. These numbers are staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Importantly, New Jerseyans feeling the emotional and mental toll of COVID-19 can get support from a special helpline. New Jersey Mental Health Cares, the state's behavioral health information and referral service, is offering help to people dealing with anxiety and worry related to COVID-19. New Jerseyans can call 866-202-HELP. That is 866-202-4357 for free confidential support. This line is staffed from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week by live trained specialists. One can also visit our township website's COVID-19 section for updates on township operations during the crisis. If one hasn't signed up yet for the Township Swift 911 alert system, you are urged to do so now to receive township updates by blast. The sign-up form can be accessed from the township's website's homepage, and you can also, of course, follow the township's Facebook page, Montclair NJ USA, and the township Twitter feed at montclairnj.gov. And ultimately, I would say that, and this is particularly relevant given today's storm and the damage caused by it, effective Saturday, August 8th, that's this coming Saturday, the recycling drop-off at our DCS complex located at 219 North Fulton Avenue will be open on Saturdays from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. Accepted for drop-off will be paper, cardboard, commingled bottles and cans, bare metal, and electronics. Everyone, this is critical, everyone using the drop-off must wear face coverings and to ensure mandatory social distancing, to reduce personal contact, and to ensure the health and safety of all. No assistance can be provided or will be provided with the handling of any products to be dropped off for recycling. And I know that earlier a blast was sent out by our communications director detailing that. I will conclude by again offering my sincere gratitude to all of our township public health staff and Department of Community Services personnel, as well as to our public safety, information technology, Department of Utilities, Office of Emergency Management, and all other township personnel, many of whom who are at this very moment working in connection with the aftermath of the tropical storm and who have been since March working around the clock relative to the pandemic to keep us safe, connected, and informed. I continue to be grateful for our employees and for their efforts. I'm appreciative of their dedication, and I continue to be a proud member on their team. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. With that, I will open it up for council comments. Deputy Mayor Hurlock.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Stafford, for the report that you just provided to us. Very thorough and comprehensive. I have to commemorate you and Mr. Karasik and Ms. Lee and all of the township employees. I mean, these are ridiculously incredible times that we're dealing with on a whole host of fronts. And on top of it, we just got dealt a powerful blow. I've been driving through town all day. Mr. Mayor and I have had discussions with the extensive damage, many of us actually on this call, including myself. I know you have, Mr. Mayor, as well, experienced in terms of trees and falling light poles, electric, no power. I'm actually taking this call in my office right now because I don't have power at all. But I just have to commemorate you and your staff on the extraordinary Herculean efforts that have been made since March when we went down this terrible, terrible road. And I also want to thank you just also, Mr. Stafford, for the day-to-day operations. I mean, we kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit sometimes because in addition to dealing with storm debris and pandemics and what have you, I appreciate you reopening the recycling center and the electronics. I know that was a conversation that you and I have had a couple of times in the last 2 weeks. Doing that so quickly, I know one of the many things going on is with everyone home, we're doing a lot of cleaning and there's a lot of electronics. Everyone had to upgrade because they all needed to get on Zoom and what have you. So I do appreciate you doing that quickly. And again, I think I said it the day we were sworn in. Zoom to me was a kid's television show, and I'm dating myself back in the 70s. So many of us have had to upgrade our equipment. And as a result of that, we've got laptops and cell phones and iPads, and they're all over the place. And we desperately need to get those into the proper center so that people don't start throwing this stuff out in the garbage and we have more issues. So thank you for addressing that so quickly, and thank you for addressing a lot of the storm issues I know throughout town. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Price Abrams.
I will just use the opportunity to a little bit echo what the deputy mayor just said in terms of a great appreciation, both for my council colleagues and for our staff, Mr. Stafford and Mr. Scantlebury and others, keeping us informed and handling so much of what you do. I won't repeat except for to really want to echo it with appreciation. I had a call probably the half hour before we hopped on this with 3 items that were of concern, and 2 of them, before the opportunity to even raise them, had already been anticipated and addressed, even in the course of our own meeting. So I do appreciate the really great efficiency and heart that the team brings to everything that we have to do, and we'll cede the time to the next, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Councilman Cummings.
Yeah, I guess I will echo the same. Remarkable with all you guys have to do. And I think I'd also like to talk about Church Street a little bit. I spent Saturday there, actually had dinner around 5, and between 6 to ended up staying there maybe till 9:30, 10 o'clock. I was surprised that a lot of restaurants were not in the streets. Fresco actually ended up coming out in the street with some tables, but the whole setup was really enjoyable, and I hope we can kind of figure this out so that we can make all the businesses happy. Because I think it is something, at least that was very enjoyable. But I think it's, we've heard the calls, and I think Jason and the guys are doing a great job trying to satisfy everybody. But a little bit of a moving target, but I just hope we can kind of find a way to satisfy everybody, even though we know everybody won't be happy. But I think it's something that we really need to stay on top of, because I actually had a good time.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Yacovellis.
We're doing the mute unmute game. I want to echo what everyone has said as well. I spent, after cleaning up our own mess here at home, we spent the afternoon traveling all over Montclair, and I saw DCS employees everywhere in every ward working to help neighbors all over town clear trees from roads and sidewalks wherever safe to do so. So I really want to commend Tim, you and Mrs. Scantlebury, Rob Bianco with OEM, obviously Chief Herman, Chief Conforti, and just everyone who, I live right by Fire Station 2 and right by Montclair Ambulance Unit and by the hospital. And all I heard for 4 hours was sirens nonstop. So that's, obviously a lot of work, both in terms of prepping and then just rapid response all day long. And as you mentioned, through the night, I'm sure, until things are stable or safe. I want to echo what Councilor Cummings said as well. I also spent a lot of time on Church Street, and I'm enjoying really seeing how the public responds to the different things that we are trying in conjunction with the bid. I think we will land at a compromise, and I've certainly heard all of the feedback on this call, and of course in all the emails and face-to-face conversations as well. I want to use the opportunity, and the mayor mentioned earlier, we are going to be doing a marketing campaign for small businesses in Montclair. So I really do want to just use this opportunity to encourage everyone to, when you're choosing where to spend your dollars, whatever service, whatever product you're procuring, to do so in Montclair if possible. Hiring a photographer, going to a hardware shop, wanting ice cream like most of us, to choose businesses here in Montclair. That is what's going to help our community recover sooner than later. But just all around gratitude and appreciation for our workforce and to my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Councilman Yacovellis, I'll note that every time we always end up talking about ice cream somehow, whether it be with the students here or us, right? We're all enjoying the ice cream. So,
and I'm lactose intolerant, so go figure.
Councilman Hurlock, you've got it made over there, by the way, by you. We all know where you live. So, that said, just want to briefly note also as Mr. Stafford had noted, certainly there's an application process for the pedestrian walkway sidewalk expansion piece. Mr. Stafford, I just asked that you also make sure we get that to all of our business areas, so they're quite aware of that situation. So thank you for that as well. As you noted, and I think it's very easy for us to move to a lot of the other pieces. The mental health focus that you talked about, Mr. Stafford, so important. I know we always stress it, but please, make sure you check on people's mental well-being. These are tough times. So check on your neighbor, check on your friends, check on your family, and there are services here to help as needed. Also want to commend everybody for the stormwork. Certainly going around town, Mr. Stafford, I saw, tons of crews out, whether it be taping areas off, helping residents going to their homes. Saw a lot of that going on today. So, kudos to everybody involved, certainly OEM and the umbrella under that was out there working during these, scary times. So we want to give a big thank you there as well. So thank you for that. Certainly the census, as was noted, very, very, very important. When we talk about the dollars that should be coming back here to us in Montclair, census is a big part of that. We've got to make sure that we have all of our residents, all of our voices heard on that front, and make sure that we get the support needed there. And lastly, I'll just state, Mr. Stafford, as you noted, a lot of the township's finances, certainly it's a testament to the position that we worked hard to put ourselves in, but certainly scary nonetheless when we talk about the dollars on the revenue side that just are not coming in. And of course, the additional supports that we are trying to put out to help support so many in so many different ways. That's a very difficult task. And certainly I know it's on all of us, all my colleagues and I, to try and manage that first and foremost, to make sure we're protecting everyone's health and safety. And then, of course, trying to manage the dollars so that we can best support and keep everybody okay economically. So the work certainly is ahead of us on that front. A lot of difficult decisions to be made, and we have to be mindful now that many of the decisions we're making now are going to affect us for some time to come. So we'll all continue to be mindful of that. And with that, I will now move resolution R-20-133, which is a resolution authorizing executive session without the public being permitted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12B. And the topics we'll be discussing are personnel and contract negotiations, and I so move to enter executive session.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And with that, and Rick, we'll give you a second to appropriately put us into executive session. And I thank everybody. Thank you.
back on, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Manager. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night and stay safe. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Okay.
All right.
Nice evening.
Good night, all.